Hello and welcome back to the Transcend Buzz Show, a Transcend initiative by Dr. Anil Sir. I'm your host Gargi, and today we have a very special guest with us, Ms. Tanuja Ganu ma'am. She's Director of Research Engineering in Microsoft Research India, also recognized as Innovator Under 35 by MIT Technology Review. She is a proud alumni of Walchand College of Engineering, Sangli. So let's hear about her journey, her work, and her valuable insights. So let's get started. Welcome to the Transcend Buzz Show, ma'am. We are truly grateful to have you on our podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to be back in college and interacting with all the students like you.
So this session is not only gonna about titles, but we'll be learning from your journey, your challenges you face, and we'll be learning how you fix that and overall process. So can we start with the question?
Absolutely.
So starting with your child days, we would like to know about your childhood and school days. At what moment you thought that you had interest in science and technology?
So, as in when I think back, my childhood has been, I have grown up in a very small town, very close by to this place at Miras. And interestingly, my father, he actually completed his undergrad, so he completed his BE in mechanical engineering from Walchand College of Engineering. So he graduated in I think 1970 or something, if I remember correctly. So while I was growing up, I always kind of looked up to him, and I always wanted to be like him. So in my early days of school itself, I realized that I really enjoy maths and science. I used to spend a lot of time preparing everything that I could find my hands on. So if anything which is like not working at home, I could kind of get my hands on it. Sometimes I could figure out how to repair it. Sometimes I kind of messed it up further. But that kind of created an interest in me to go for engineering. I always looked at this particular college like my father's college, and while growing up, I always thought like, okay, one day I'll study in this college, and thankfully that happened.
It's really great to have a legacy of Walchand from your home itself, and it's really amazing that you found your interest and early on in your childhood. So based on these interests, you chose engineering. Any specific reason why you chose computer science engineering?
So I would say that computer science was a growing field when I completed my 12th standard. It is another interesting thing that when I was doing my schooling, not many schools have this concept of technical studies in school. But I was fortunate to study in Vidyamandir High School in Miras, where we had technical subjects which were taught from 8th to 10th standard. So I ended up learning machine drawing. I ended up doing carpentry and turning and everything during my 8th to 10th standard itself. And I really enjoyed doing those things. And my father was a mechanical engineer. My brother was studying mechanical engineering at that time in Walchand. So I thought that I'll actually join for mechanical engineering itself. But my father told me that explore few other dimensions, and this was kind of a growing field, so why don't you kind of look at some other opportunities. And when I started looking at what computer means, there was not a lot of information at that time which was available as it is available today, but at least through whatever bits and pieces that I could kind of find out at that time, I felt like computer science has this abstraction layer, right? So it felt like little magical for me at that time, and it was like always interesting that there are so many things that you can create or impact through computer science. So that was my really kind of decision point where I thought that okay, let me explore this direction. It seems like interesting direction for future in some sense, which has turned out to be true.
Truly, like computer science subject in itself is a very, very exciting one. So you were rank 1 undergraduate student from Walchand College of Engineering. How Walchand shaped you as a person?
So one part is like studies and what you kind of learn while you are preparing for exams, while you are attending lectures. So I would say that that definitely helped me to think through in my computer science journey. It first thing I think it did was it continued to kind of ignite interest in me from the engineering and computer science perspective, and that has stayed till today. So because of which I decided eventually to do my post graduation, decided to continue work in CS as a research. So I think all that seed of all those interest in computer science was kind of really helped me have that understanding while I was studying at Walchand. The other important thing, which is I think very, very crucial, which is beyond all the textbooks and studies, is all what we call is co-curricular and extracurricular skills, right? And I think Walchand tremendously helped me in those sets of skills. I was part of multiple clubs here. I was participating in almost all activities, let it be dance or personality kind of context, or it could be IQ context, or working on projects, being as part of different clubs and services. But that really helped me, first of all, build a huge community of friends. And we are friends together for 25 years now. So I continue to carry those kind of friendships that we have built at Walchand. And it really kind of also helped me get these extracurricular activities or the skills which are related to leadership. How do you handle team? How do you come up with important sorts of topics and interests? How do you navigate, let's say, challenges when those are thrown at you at pretty much, instantly? How do you handle different events, and how do you really work with completely diverse teams, right? So those are all the skills, and I would say the friendships for lifetime, which is what I really got from Walchand.
Yes, as you talked about the extracurricular activities and club activities, how those help you in your career, in like corporate life or even in the startups?
So the first thing is, wherever you go in your let's say industrial work experiences, let it be startup, let it be working in corporate life, the first thing that you need to learn is how you work with people.
Yeah.
The people could be people who are your managers and the top leadership, as well as the people who are working with you. And you might be a manager, you might not be a manager, but still you have to mentor people who are joining new. You have to really understand how to work through differences, how to work through negotiations. So all these skills, which are people skills, are something that I really got through all these activities, because you learn to interact with so many different type of people. You learn how to work with different styles of people.
Yeah.
So some people you can inspire and work with them. Some
Yeah.
people you have to handhold. Some people you really have to teach new skills, and there are so many people from whom you can learn so much. And while working through all these 4 years of different club activities, first of all, I learned so much from my seniors. And then I really enjoyed working with my juniors and my peers, where we created new events, we created new activities. We failed at times, but you also learn how to kind of learn through those failures and bounce back, right? So I would say those are kind of forming years of your career, and that really transitions you so well when you start with the industrial and corporate life.
Yes. Many students would relate with that because I myself am working in clubs and learning a lot from my juniors and seniors as
Yeah.
well. Any specific moment or memory from your college life that you would like to share with us?
I would say that friendships. So
Any इवेंट किस्सा मतलब कोई आपके क्लब के इवेंट के दौरान वाला?
So it's always as you all students would have seen, right? No event goes as per the plan. So there are 1,000 challenges which are thrown at you at like last minute. So I used to be part of PACE. I used to be part of many other clubs and events. And many a times when we are kind of conducting the club service or even the mega events, there would be something which would go terribly wrong.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was in my third year and final year, we are conducting some important events. The main guest might not come on time for the event at all, and you have to handle the situation, or there is some systems not working, someone is not happy with the way the event is going on. So there are so many different kind of challenges I remember through those, and I remember really some of my friends coming together and helping me to kind of navigate the situation. Sometimes me kind of getting into situations which I completely had never thought of. So I had never thought of like I would participate in student council, and I would kind of go for let's say student council elections and other things. But when I was in my final years, one of the days I was in my lab, and some of my best friends from other department, they came and said that you are standing for the secretary of student council. And I was like, what? No. They were like, no, you have to go for it. And it's just that you learn to trust your friends. You learn to go ahead with what's right to be done at that time. So I would say those are quite many fun events and many memories to kind of carry forward.
It's truly amazing that how you balance your academics along with so much of extracurricular activities. So now in recent years, the number of clubs in Valchan has also been increased. So many sports club, and we all have MLSC. Just 2 years back, the club was introduced, along with many other clubs are also introduced. So moving towards the next phase of your life, after graduation, you worked at Tata Consultancy, and then you decided to pursue masters in machine learning, and you did it from prestigious institute of IISc Bangalore. So any reason that motivated you to pursue postgrad?
So I would say it was around 2007, 2008, right? I was working at TCS, which was right after my campus placement here in Valchan, and I was really enjoying the work. It was early years, and I thought that it was so much for me to kind of learn and grow. But at the same time, it kind of gave me a feeling that there is something more that I can do technically. I was always motivated by doing more and more technical work. And I realized that at that time, in computer science, primarily machine learning was the new field, which was the upcoming field, and there was so much new which was happening in the field. But unless I go back to my university and kind of study further, I would not be able to really kind of get to the jobs that I wanted to do, which is more technical, getting into kind of research or really going into depth of machine learning. So thinking that, I decided to go back to studies again, and I wrote GATE after 4 years, which is I would say that not a straightforward task, but of course, as in I think the having right fundamentals have kind of helped me. But I decided to kind of give GATE and go back to IISc at that time and study machine learning, which is what I wanted to kind of pursue then.
Actually, it's a difficult task to choose a different path than the normal ones that usually other people take. So, similar to your journey, many people are confused between choosing corporate jobs and research. How did you navigate your decision of choosing master's degree? And did you not navigate that decision at that time?
Yeah, I think it's, as I said, right, it's not at all a easy decision. While working at TCS, I was in US, I was earning well. Once you start earning, it's not always easy to kind of say that I am okay not to earn and go back to studies again. The second important difficulty is just kind of going back to classroom and going
Yeah.
back to kind of studies. Because in those 4 years, I had completely lost the touch of studying. I had lost the touch of writing, which is important for writing the exams at the end of the day. But also that momentum of studying, you would kind of lose that once you start doing corporate job. So it's never an easy decision. And especially if you are kind of taking a decision which is a different path from the usual path, there are always challenges and there are possibilities of failure.
Yeah.
But that's one thing I think all of us should kind of make up our mind on, is taking important challenges which are important in your life. I feel that this is one chance that you are getting to kind of pursue your dreams in your life, and you should not regret at the end of your life that I should have done this or I should have tried this. So that's my only kind of thought process, that I always try to do different things after a few years whenever I start feeling stagnated. So I would say that at the end of 4th year in TCS, I had started feeling stagnated. I knew that I had to kind of pursue something different. Of course, there were challenges. There were opportunities for failure. But as long as you kind of study and understand what are the pros and cons of each of these options in the short term as well as in long term, and are you taking a measured risk or are you taking a risk which is completely not bounded, right? So I would say that that's the important thing that everyone has to kind of think about whenever you are at the crossroads when you have to choose between the two decisions. I felt that going for higher studies did not involve such a bad risk. It would be like 2 years of income that I would be losing. But I was sure that I would get more opportunities when I would be kind of graduating with my post-graduation. So I would say that it was in some sense calculated risk, but it was also coming from the point of view that I was feeling stagnated and I really felt kind of need to try out something different.
So it's important to get out of your comfort zone.
Absolutely.
And take risks. So how did your IISc shape you as a person, and how did your critical thinking skills and problem solving skills improve?
So I would say that my IISc days, I feel like Zen or meditation sort of days, right? Because I really enjoyed studying the topics at depth. So I studied the same sort of topics again. I studied algorithms, I studied math topics again, discrete mathematics, linear algebra. But I started really kind of studying those topics from a different lens. I understood so much about why linear algebra is so much important for machine learning, and understanding, let's say, the basics of algorithms, why algorithms is important, how you can really shape thinking through different design of algorithms, how it impacts the latency, how it impacts, let's say, cost in long terms. So really kind of going at depth in each of these topics has helped me so much to build my fundamentals from there onwards. And even today when I work on, let's say, a new problem, I always think about what is the cost of execution of, let's say, a particular application or a particular algorithm, whether I should choose on the edge execution, whether I should think about hybrid execution. So all those sorts of decisions are really kind of grounded in fundamentals of computer science. And at IISc, I really got a chance to relearn all these topics again, but really from the ground up and fundamental perspective. The other important thing that I learned at IISc was my master's was with research. So this was kind of first flavor for me from the research perspective. How do you really, and research is a slightly different sort of skill and a problem than product development or typical software engineering that we see. Research is fundamentally meant to be completely open-ended. So which means that you are working on a completely new and open-ended problem, which may get solved in a day, which might get solved in a month, or it might not get solved in 2 years. So just that being comfortable with ambiguity of research problems and still trying to kind of make your short steps in the towards the end goal is the skill of research. And many people are not it's not easy to be comfortable with completely open-ended problem, and maybe you are stuck for a month and you seem to be not making any progress, but still kind of continuing to pursue it is a hard problem. So I would say that understanding and skill for research I got from IISc.
So patience and continuously trying is a really important task while doing research.
Yes.
And after you completed your IISc Bangalore's postgraduate degree, you started to work at IBM, right? And after that, you started your work as a co-founder and CTO of your startup DataGlen. We would like to know more about your startup.
Yeah. So as everyone says, startup is a roller coaster ride. When I was starting my startup journey, a lot of people told me that it's a roller coaster ride, and I was like, okay, fine, how it would be. And now I can say that it's truly a roller coaster ride. In the morning, you would feel so elated, and you would feel like you are solving the most important problem of the world. And by the afternoon, you would start feeling low. In the evening, you are feeling depressed, and at night you might kind of get a completely new thought process, which you would think that this is something which is a spark that you were waiting for such a long time. There are different sorts of commercial pressures. There is a investment and the path that you are looking at from not only for yourself, but there are so many other people who are dependent, who are working with you in the startup. You are responsible for them. So I felt that has a different pressure altogether. And that's the important aspect of startup. How do you keep focus on short term so that you solve the right problem, as well as how do you build for long term so that you can scale the company, you can eventually amplify investors money exponentially, and those sorts of things. So to be very honest, I had never thought that I will start a startup. Even today it seems like something that I had never prepared for, or I had not kind of aspired for. But while I was working at IBM Research, I was working on very interesting problems which were at the intersection of energy and AI. And we made a lot of interesting progress in those 3-4 years, I would say. We received a lot of academic kind of support from academic institutes. We got a lot of interest from industrial organizations. That was the year, I think, 2014, when I received MIT Technology Review's TR35 award for young innovators. So we knew that we were making progress in the right direction. And as all of you know, energy sustainability is an important problem. We are already going through global warming and crisis of energy. So in that sense, integrating right amount of renewable energy resources in the grid while keeping the grid reliable, stable, and safe was a very important problem to kind of look at. One of my co-founders, he was my earlier manager at IBM Research. So he had moved out, and he was already thinking about starting something in this direction. And his name is Devasitaram. He has been my mentor and really my guru in this whole journey. So he asked me whether I would be interested in joining as a CTO in this kind of effort. And it was a difficult decision in some sense to take for me at that particular point of time. I was like first time mother. My daughter was just 6 months old. So I would say in no sane state anyone can or should make a kind of decision where you are growing a child as well as a company at the same time. But it was very interesting times. I learned in those 4-5 years, I think I kind of learned so much, which is 3 times or 4 times of experience that I could have got anywhere else. Of course, that was possible because of support from my colleagues, my 2 co-founders, as well as family, and you cannot kind of navigate through such difficult paths without those sorts of supports.
As you said earlier, it's important to take risks, and from this itself, it shows your risk-taking ability. And when you start a startup, you have to do lots of sacrifices that you made for your daughter also. So it's totally great. And while you were at the startup, you have faced many challenges, right? Apart from technical challenges, what were some of you could mention 2-3 challenges, and how did you tackle them?
So I think the biggest challenge when you start running a startup is how do you navigate the short term and long term kind of impact. So I was coming from research lab, my other co-founders were coming from research lab as well. So we always, in research, you aspire for impacting the future.
Yeah.
So you want to build something which would be really kind of path breaking and changing the world 5 years down the line or 10 years
Long-term
down the line,
goals.
long term sort of goals. But when you start a startup, which
Yeah.
is a commercial kind of entity, you really need to look at what customers need today and continue to kind of fulfill your customer needs today, and investors kind of support for fulfilling those needs, as well as carve the pathway for going from the short term to long term. And balancing the short term and long term kind of demands is not straightforward.
Yeah.
So I would say that having that sort of understanding or building that sort of understanding, spending a lot of time with customers to understand what really they need on ground right now, but at the same time, are you doing too short term kind of a focus while building these things, or are you kind of looking at a pathway to convert these short term demands and requests into the long term future and path? I think that's the kind of focus that you have to keep. So we did a lot of customer visits. I was also working in energy industry, which I had not exposed to earlier. So from types of customers and those customers interactions were something new for me, so I had to learn that. I would also say that when you are running a startup, the other challenge that you have to kind of take into account is all the commercial side. How do you manage your finances, and lot more deeper understanding into financials. Let it be the investments that you would be taking, how much equity that you are kind of willing to give in that particular regard to the investors. How are you looking at hiring right talent? How are you retaining that talent? What are the financial implications and the roadmap that you have from your current, let's say, commercials? How do you build the commercial understanding of your own products, and how do you want to market those products, how do you want to scale those products? So it requires so many different skills beyond your engineering and technical skills. And it's very, very important if someone is thinking about starting a startup to learn about people management, learn about finance management, learn about customer engagement and marketing. And sometimes it's not possible to have all those in one person, and that's where it's very important that you bring right co-founders who have complementary skills. At the same time, it's extremely important to have the co-founders whom you can completely rely on, and you don't have to watch your back all the time while you're working on the difficult problems. So I would say that those are the kind of skills which I really kind of learned during those startup years. As well as you have limited amount of time, how do you balance your time across your product development, your family, as well as whatever other activities that need to be done, from marketing, pitching, meeting with investors. So very, very high focus on how do you and where do you spend your time, and great time management skills is another important thing that I really learned during those days.
So, did you have any mentor during that period, or you just learned along that process?
No, you actually find mentors on the way, and I have been extremely lucky in that sense. But whenever you are facing a different type of challenge, when you are unsure about how to navigate the situation, it's always good to look out for people who might have crossed that path before. Everyone's challenges are different, so you would not be able to kind of copy paste the exact solution that has worked for someone else, but at least they would guide you in the sense that they would say that let's say if I'm going from here to Pune, and I'm going for the first time, and I don't know path, I don't know where to stay, I don't know where to take a break and where to eat and all those sorts of things. At least the people, 2-3 people who have followed this path before, they can say that watch for danger here, or you can possibly take a break here. So you have some pointers, and you can of course navigate your path. You might take a different detour or whatever, but you at least have understanding of that context which is given by your mentor. So I would definitely recommend everyone at any point of career stage that you are in, it's always good to look out for someone whom you can trust, someone who can guide you with true intentions. But at the same time, if you feel stuck in a particular situation, it's a good idea to go and ask for advice from someone.
So, as of now that you are working in Microsoft, how does the startup experience influence your decision making at the large organization like Microsoft?
So when I was kind of taking an exit from startup and looking for new opportunities, I wanted to kind of look at the blend of research and scaling and incubations, because those are the two kinds of skills that I had kind of learned and developed during my earlier jobs at IBM Research and DataGlen, and I had also realized that those are the kind of things that I really enjoy doing again, and maybe I would enjoy learning from other people who are kind of doing these things. So when I was interviewing, the opportunity at Microsoft Research felt like a great combination of these two, because first of all, this was a research lab where they were looking at someone who has research experience and have understanding on applied AI and running and scaling some of the research products. But at the same time, we were building a new incubation center at Microsoft Research called Sky, Societal Impact with Cloud and AI. And this is the incubation center was just kind of being thought through to be started at Microsoft Research to incubate and scale some of the efforts from the research perspective. and I just happened to be kind of having these two skills and interest in these two skills. It felt like a perfect combination of opportunities for me with my interest in applied AI and my interest in um, using AI for high-stake domains where we can really impact the society at large. It felt like perfect combination, as in I could not have asked for better, I guess. That's the work that I started leading the Sky Incubation Center at Microsoft Research, and then I have taken up other jobs and responsibilities. But working with limited sets of resources, scaling ideas from early innovations to, let's say, impact and either internally or externally. So those are the kind of skills that I carried from my startup time into this incubation journey and at Microsoft Research in large.
So as of now that you are working in Microsoft, and we have heard about the Shikshaka Copilot, that's really a good initiative for social good. We would like to know more about it.
So this is a work which started again around 2 years back. So GenAI was in its early and nascent stage in some sense. And as a research, my interest is in equitable AI and how do we not only look at the advances of AI which are impacting enterprises, but how do we make sure that AI really kind of works for larger population. So with that thought in mind, I wanted to kind of, along with my colleagues at Microsoft Research who are working in the research group which is called Technology and Empowerment, we wanted to study whether the GenAI in its current stage can be applied for real world problems and high stake domains like education, or there are research gaps that we need to address with our research. So with that thought process in mind, we were looking at different domains. And we realized that education is a good domain. While there are a lot of edtech companies which are already there in India as well as worldwide, a lot of these edtech companies are really focusing on students and either providing different sorts of material content as well as learning pedagogy to students so that they can learn better. But there were really no tools or not much which was available for teachers that they can use to first of all create interesting and personalized learning content for their own classrooms, as well as something that they can self-learn with as well every day as the technology is rapidly changing. So with that thought process, we interacted with a lot of teachers. We carried out surveys where we received inputs from thousands of teachers across India and some surveys which were done outside India as well. And we realized that there are two sorts of main needs that teachers were looking at. First, how do they self-learn and how do they use the technology, especially the GenAI sort of technology, for really generating the content for their classrooms. These teachers typically teach 5 to 6 hours in the class for different kind of grades. At the same time, they use equal amount of time for generating right content for their classrooms. So they typically spend another 6 to 7 hours looking through, let's say, YouTube videos which are there, going through textbooks, going through the material, and really deciding how they want to teach in the classroom. So we thought, can we address this problem? Can we help teachers to kind of address this problem? And that's where we started working on Shikshaka Copilot. Of course, we realized that there are a lot of gaps when we are applying technology directly. So the first gap is when we are applying technology in places like India. We are a multilingual country. We have 22 official languages. But as we know, today's technology, as we would see all the state-of-the-art GenAI models, those are really not proficient in all these 22 languages, not even in languages like Hindi and Marathi that we speak. And not only that, the models who are proficient in interacting in Hindi or Marathi, they are really not capable of using the right terminology. So for example, how do I say photosynthesis in Hindi versus Marathi, and how it is kind of shown in the textbook? How do I call right angle triangle? How do I call multiplication? All these domain specific terms are really not embedded well in none of the existing translation models as well as the GenAI models. So that's the first research gap that we are looking into. The second thing that we realize is we cannot just use off-the-shelf GenAI models, because when you are teaching, let's say, in different contexts, like in India versus in Africa versus in US, there is so much of context that is associated with any learning problem. It would be let's say I'm teaching 6 standard components of food in science. what sort of food examples that I give to them. If I'm giving completely westernized examples, students are really not able to learn through it. So I need to understand culture, I need to understand context, I need to understand flora and fauna, I need to understand the dietary needs in the given cultural society that I'm kind of teaching these concepts on. I need to know what sort of resources which are available, because in many a times currently with Shikshaka Copilot we are working with government schools and the teachers from the government schools, where the resources in the schools themselves are not really sufficient. So many a times, while there are, let's say, a lot of activities and examples which are given in the textbook, the teachers are not able to use it because of lack of resources. But now with Gen AI, a teacher can say that I would like to kind of conduct an experiment in my class on acids and bases with just household resources that I have, and it can beautifully kind of give what sort of activities that they can conduct. And what we have seen from all our user studies and everything is teachers as well as students really enjoy few things from this whole activity, right? They enjoy doing activities, hands-on activities in the class. They like real world examples which actually tell student why you are learning a particular concept. All sorts of assessments that they can conduct and personalize the assessment based on individual student groups so that they can help students get to the next level. So I think all those things are really interesting from students as well as teachers perspective, and we have seen the classrooms getting more engaged and enjoyable. So this is a journey. I know that there are a lot of long-term sort of risks that we need to take into account, because I'm extremely passionate about use of AI in education, and I'm positive about AI can make a positive impact in education. At the same time, I always worry that whether it would impact students' long-term thinking, and this is a very very valid risk that we are at the in forefront for us. So how do we kind of look at the innovation and adopt the innovation in the short term, as well as always keep an eye on the long term and keep right guardrails and make the progress is, I think, a very important and interesting aspect that we have to keep in mind.
Actually, this is really inspiring story that you're an initiative that you're trying for teachers, and we hope this initiative reaches to masses through our podcast. And we would also like to know about your other projects that applies AI for social good.
So I work in few other domains. So I work in the domain of healthcare,
Yeah.
where we are looking at fine-tuning, deploying vision language models for radiologists, so that the radiologists, while they are looking at radiology images and making the final reports, and not only just in the case of generating the final report, but they might be interested in asking questions. So it's like visual question answering on the images. They might be interested in looking at the audit of someone has written the radiology report and automated audit of that sort of report. There might be interest in understanding, let's say, specific aspects from radiology, like what are the devices and lines and tubes which are placed in the patient and whether they are placed correctly. And what we are really talking about, the placement which can impact from the millimeters perspective, right? If your lines and tubes are not placed at exact right position, if they are misplaced in just few millimeters, it can impact and have significant kind of repercussions of those. So when we are looking at these sorts of augmentation of technology along with human radiologists, what we are really kind of interested in understanding is how we can take the strengths of both human beings as well as the AI technology, and can we give something better to the larger population. We already see that there is a huge kind of gap of demand and supply of skilled radiologists and the patients which are there. So can we at least provide the faster sort of support for the larger population? Can we help the radiologists prioritize, let's say, high sensitive use cases on time? Can we help radiologists make the very final decisions where they are unsure? Can we help with auditing? So a lot of those sorts of problems that we are looking into in this particular domain. The other project that I'm working on is in agriculture domain, where we are looking at small holding farmers and providing guidance for small holding farmers, which it could be related to their organic farming, or they might have questions related to pesticides, or they might have questions which are related to the market value of their, let's say, produce, and how they should approach the market so that they can get maximum yield from whatever they are kind of producing. So in all these cases, they have many questions. Many a times, not reliable resources of information is available, and it's very important that they can ask these questions in their own language, using their own dialects, their own glossary and vocabulary, and they can get the answers in a trusted manner. So this is where we have recently again done. This was our research work, which was called multimodal critical thinking. So while the vision language models are getting better and better at reasoning, they are really still not good at, let's say, reasoning over long form content. So it's, let's say, there are 10,000 videos of 1 hour each, and how do you kind of find out which video has the information about the question which is asked by the farmer, and provide just exact that 2-minute clip or 3-minute clip to the farmer, so that they can understand the answer related to that particular question, but also they can get the answer in their own language and also from the community that they are from. So that's where video plays a very important modality, and in terms of building the trust. So this is another work where the horizontal problem that we have worked on, from improving the reasoning capabilities of vision language models, is now being applied for solving a problem for farmers, and that's another project in the societal domain. But while working on the societal domain, we are solving so many horizontal problems which are applicable everywhere. So as I said, multilingual is a problem which is applicable everywhere. Improving the multimodal reasoning capabilities is a problem which is horizontal, applicable in enterprise applications as well as population scale applications. There are other sorts of problems that we are also kind of working on to understand just the gaps and capabilities of given vision language models. So recently we have created a new benchmark which is called Do You See Me? So it's like a simple perception benchmark for understanding vision language models capabilities of perception skills, and this is a benchmark which is based on the humans capabilities of perception, and there were already some existing tests which were built for humans, and we have kind of extended those sorts of tests to understand VLM's capabilities for perception and how the perception impacts reasoning. So yeah, there is really isn't broad sets of problems that you can choose and you get to work with while working on this particular job.
As you talked about your different projects, each project is from different field, and you would need to work with different sets of people. How do you manage that?
Yeah, I think that's the exciting part of my job, I would say. When I'm working on the applied AI, on one side I get to work with researchers who are really deep on one particular field, one particular problem, and we are making progress on, let's say, multimodal AI or multilingual. So there are researchers who are really spending their time solving these hard problems. And when we want to take these solutions, or we want to, even I would not say take these solutions, but even we want to pilot these solutions, when we want to evaluate the impact of the technology that we are building in real time, in real world, we really need to work with the domain partners and the domain experts from those domains. And that's where I've been fortunate to kind of get to work with many domain partners. So when we are working with Shikshaka Copilot, we are working with an NGO which is called Shikshaka Foundation, based in Bangalore, who is working for 2 decades in the field of education, and working with various governments and making sure that the state of education in these schools is improved through various different means. So they understand the domain problem deeply. They can also help us understand whether a particular technology would be meaningful in the given setup or not. So in each of these problems that I talked about, we are deeply working with domain experts. How do we come up together so that we can solve right problem is a very important kind of task, and that's one of the important aspects of my job as a director of research engineering, that we are able to balance the deep research as well as we are able to work with right stakeholders and partners from different domains and domain experts with whom we can work and evaluate some of these technologies.
Yes, it was great to know about you, and thank you for explaining everything in deep. It's You were so patient with each question and you explained really well. So moving to the next question, Many students look up to journeys like yours and want to get into research field. What suggestion you would give them to build a firm foundation?
So first thing I would say is it's very important that you study the undergraduate concepts very well. In today's time and age, you do have such a huge opportunity to study your concepts well, either in your own classrooms, but if not beyond that as well through open courseware, from lot of videos which are available, so many blogs and content which is available. So you need not kind of go in deep for all the topics, but at least let's say if someone is interested in AI, then you need to know foundations of AI starting from maths. So you need to know discrete mathematics well, you need to know linear algebra well, you need to know algorithms well. If you are going on system side, those are the type of concepts that you need to really study well on. And there is unfortunately or fortunately no alternate path than doing your basics right, because if your basics are right, then you can build the foundation on top of it. If you are, and especially in the ML and AI space, your math foundation is very essential. So you need to build your math foundation very solid. Only then you would be able to, let's say, read new research papers and new technologies well. I would suggest one other thing beyond doing, let's say, your fundamentals right while you're doing your undergraduation is read a lot of papers. Today, in again, another fortunate thing is these research papers are not logged behind the like paywall, right? So you can read all the latest and greatest of the papers on archive, and you can read papers on internet. Not only that, you can even read the commentary and reviews of those papers by others. So it would be a great habit to start reading the papers, research papers which are coming in every let's say latest conferences that you are interested in. And the next thing is building your hands-on skills, right? Theory is good, theory is useful, and theory is essential component of your fundamentals. At the same time, you need to have building ability, and if you do not have the hands-on skills, then you would feel lack of confidence in really kind of taking your ideas to next stage. So let it be for startup, let it be for your research career. I would say fundamentals, getting to know what's happening in the world today, and to be able to have your opinion and critical understanding and thinking around that. And the third thing is hands-on skills, where you every day build something. You might fail, things might not work as you are expected, but you would kind of learn through that, and every next day you would be building better than what you had built earlier day, and that would give you tremendous amount of confidence as well as the ability to take your ideas to execution. And execution is many a times underrated, but that's like the most essential, as ideas are important, but execution is more important. So you need to kind of build your execution skills as well.
If some student is confused whether to choose research field or not, what qualities he or her should look in himself before choosing research field?
So as I had mentioned in my one of earlier answers, right? Research require patience.
Yeah.
So you need to be patient. You need to be able to give sufficient time for your idea to kind of develop, and you need to have that perseverance to go through failures, because when you're working on research, you're for sure working on open-ended problems. So you should have the ability to navigate every day from one failure to another failure till the time eventually, after let's say a month or 2 months or sometime after 2 years, you are successful in your research. So that is the most important quality in any researcher that I feel, and to be able to take these different uncharted paths, right? Because this is not a solved problem. So you are solving the problem for the first time. Many steps in this particular problem solving others might have taken already, but you need to be able to identify those paths, and you need to be able to think that, okay, I'm stuck here today. What path that I can take? Do I have sufficient data? Do I have sufficient information? Are my existing experiments informing me enough? And how do we kind of navigate through those? So that skill is important. You need to see if that skill is in you or not. There are other programs which are available today. Again, there is an amazing program from Microsoft Research itself, which is a research fellow program. This is a 2 year program where many students after their undergraduation join at Microsoft, spend 2 years working with the researchers on a particular research problem. This is a wonderful program for them to understand whether they want to pursue a longer path in research or not, or they want to, let's say, do something in corporate industry on the product side. I always wish that this sort of a program existed when I graduated, because I think this really gives great way for someone to get experience to what research means. And not only Microsoft is, while Microsoft is a pioneer in this particular program, there are other research labs including Google and TCS and Adobe and others who have similar pre-doc programs now. So I definitely encourage students who are doing their undergraduate degrees right now and who are interested in research to explore such paths and see if they really like research and they would like to kind of pursue it for longer time.
So earlier, as you mentioned about Microsoft Research Fellow Program, we would like to know more in detail about that.
So this is a program typically students right after their undergrads join in for 2 years. Typically it's a very selective program, so 30 students or so join across India at Microsoft Research Bangalore for working on the research problems with the researchers on various different research topics. So from the application process perspective, typically in Jan or Feb, the research fellow applications open up, and it goes through a rigorous selection process. Sometimes in last couple of years, we have received 15,000 or 20,000 applications for this 30 slots. So I would say that it's very competitive and it's kind of very selective. But even given that, what I would suggest for students who want to apply for this particular program is to highlight your research interest. What is the specific research area that you are interested in spending your 2 years on? What are the kind of things that you have built and the skills which are relevant for this particular program? What research experience that you have, and it does not mean that writing papers or let's say necessarily working on a particular research problem, but it also means that have you read sufficient research papers? Do you have any thoughts about interesting research directions that you are interested in taking from this particular let's say journey onwards? What are the open source contributions that you have done? So these different aspects kind of help you prepare your profile and present your profile for interviewers to kind of look into. And then the typical interview process goes. Many times interviewers would ask you to read few papers and give your kind of thinking about those papers. They would ask you to do coding rounds and those sorts of process. But primarily I would say that building your profile and presenting your profile from open source contributions perspective, of course if you have any research papers which you have done, talking about that, talking about your research interests and reading sufficient research papers and having an opinion and direction about some research problems, that always helps in these interviews.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. So now speaking about challenges, everyone faces challenges from day-to-day life, maybe it be technical or non-tech. So how did you face these challenges, and what values and principles guide you through this process?
So challenges are parcel of life. Sometimes those are small, sometimes those are large. I would say after all these years of 20 plus years of my professional journey, one thing that I have learned and I value as the most important principle and skill that anyone should have is resilience. And many people would have said this before, that resilience is very, very important skill. But from my personal experiences, I can say that you go through so many failures. I might be working on a research problem, as I said, and I might not see progress for 2 months, and it can be very frustrating and depressing at times. I'm working on a startup, and for whatever reasons which are not under your control, you might not kind of see the kind of scale that you are interested in looking at, or at times you might feel stuck in a particular job and not able to kind of find new directions. So the challenges come in all different shapes and sizes, right? There could be personal challenges, there could be professional challenges. One important skill that everyone must learn is resilience. I'm not saying that you should not think about your failure, or you should just kind of brush away your failure and get going for the next, let's say, interview or next challenge the next day. But what is really important is you take time, you understand what went wrong, you learn from those understandings, but don't spend time just indulging in that sadness and just looking at it and asking the question, why me? Everyone is facing challenges. We don't know what challenges others are facing, but look at it as the learning opportunity. You would go through multiple failures to be successful ones, and it's a very popular saying that many celebrities, as in they say that they become celebrity in one night, right? But nothing happens in one night. There is like years of preparation and struggles that people have gone through, and one night is when that transition happens and people start shining. So I would say that just make sure that whenever you feel stuck, ask the question to yourself that are you just spending too much time on indulging on your failures, or you are ready to learn from these failures, make adjustments and take next steps. And you never know, as in you would be very close to the victory when you were kind of thinking to give up, right? So resilience, I would say, is the most important skill. The second important skill is integrity. You would many a times face situations where it's a kind of thin line between the right and wrong in the professional and personal journey, and integrity is something which would help you navigate through doing right things at right time, and that you have to build, that you really have to build over years. And one wrong decision can completely impact the integrity and the personality that you have built for years. So it's easy to kind of one take one wrong step. So really think thoughtfully about the integrity and how do you want to build yourself. And the third important thing I would say is collaboration. We are all human beings. We work in team. We always live with team. So whomsoever that you work with every day, you might meet someone in the morning, just say hello to them, and just one smile, right, can change someone's day, and they might kind of get inspiration to face challenges which you do not even know that they are going through. So learn to interact with different styles of people, different kind of people, and learn to bring the best out of different styles of people. So that collaboration and working with the team is the third skill, I would say. So those are the three most important values and skills from my perspective.
So, as we are moving towards the end of our session, any message you would like to give our students?
So I think that your generation is lucky. You are at the age and entering into the corporate world, entering into your undergraduate studies when the world is changing, right? We have seen different types of transformations. Either it's with internet, with energy and electricity. It's with let's say a few years back with different sorts of internet related things and cloud that we have seen, and the world has really kind of come closer. But now we are kind of entering of in the age of AI in true sense, and this is really transforming every aspect of every human being's kind of life. You do have a choice to apply the technology the right way and really make an impact for the world, for the betterment of the world. There could be some wrong steps which can really impact the society at large as well. So how do you continue to kind of do innovations, as well as you keep that lens of values and keep that lens of long-term impact of this particular technology and intervention that you are bringing for the society? I think you have this amazing opportunity to change the world with technology, which no other generation in the past, at least in last, I would say, a century, that people have seen. So keep your mind open, be curious about new things. It's about learning to learn, So we are not in the age where you can learn once in your undergrads and apply that skill for next 20 and 50 years. So you have to learn. So you have to keep learning new things every 2 years and every 5 years or maybe every 6 months, and navigate through the pace of technology which is happening right now. But I feel extremely excited with the potential of technology to really change the world, and you are the people who have that opportunity. So take that opportunity with big heart and a lot of excitement, I would say.
Thank you, ma'am. So we have planned a quick rapid fire challenge for you. So let's begin. First one is research or industry.
Research.
Elon Musk style bold leadership or Satya Nadella style calm leadership.
Satya Nadella type.
India as an AI creator or mainly an AI applier in the next decade.
AI creator.
Biggest stress buster.
Exercise or spending time with my daughter.
Startup or corporate.
Different things at different times.
One skill you wish you had learned earlier as a student.
Time management.
Okay. One skill every AI researcher must have in 2025.
Learning to learn.
If AI didn't exist, what would you be researching?
Oh, I have so many different interests. I would be doing anything from music to dance to, yeah.
One habit you are trying to build right now.
Yeah, spending time on my health and really taking it seriously.
Your favorite book?
Uh, there are many. It's hard to say. Sorry, I would not take this question.
Okay. Movie you have rewatched multiple times.
3 Idiots.
Thank you, ma'am, for
Thank you.
We are truly grateful, and your journey was really inspiring, and we really appreciate the way you took patiently explain all the concepts really in depth.
No, I really enjoy talking with students like you, because I really think that, and I strongly believe that future is in your hands, and I'm sure that future is in safe hands. So thank you for calling me here for interaction, and I really loved and enjoyed every bit of it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for attending this conversation, and we are truly grateful for having you on this podcast. And as a token of appreciation, we would like to present a memento to you.
Thank you so much. That's lovely. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. Her journey from being student at Walchand College of Engineering to being an impactful leader in the field of AI is truly inspiring. If you enjoyed this conversation and learned something new, don't forget to like, share and subscribe and follow for more such interesting stories.